This presentation was created by Daniel Dang, Nathan Lamb, and Jason Hendricks. We are going to discuss about class responsibility collaboration. Class responsibility collaboration is a technique derived from the card sorting elicitation technique with one main difference. Card sorting is used to gather information from stakeholders, while class responsibility collaboration is used to explain an object-oriented program. There are three main components of class responsibility collaboration: a description of the class or object that you are working with, the class's responsibility or what the class does in the program, and finally, who or what the class collaborates with, or in other words, what other classes this class communicates with. It is often written out like this on an index card with the class name and a small description on the top left, the responsibilities of the class right below it, and the collaborators or other class this class works with displayed on the right side of the index card. This describes the class in a way that makes it very easy to understand and useful for knowing what the class will do. This technique is used most often to explain object-oriented programming to programmers who may or may not quite understand what object-oriented programming is. It is a very useful teaching technique. Class responsibility collaboration is also a suggested practice of extreme programming. It helps break away from a procedural mindset and understand your code as object-oriented. This is only useful when utilized during the brainstorming phase of an application development. Ward Cunningham and Kent Beck were the authors of class responsibility collaboration. Ward Cunningham is most well known for inventing the concept of the wiki, a tool used by hundreds of millions today. Kent Beck is known for authoring a style of programming called extreme programming, as well as many software design techniques. An easy way to explain what the class responsibility collaboration is to relate it to the UML documents which we have learned about in previous courses. A unified modeling language or UML document lays out different objects, what that object holds, its variables, what it does, its functions, and the relationships between this object and other objects, is or has relationships. They are useful for understanding how a program cycles its data and how different objects correlate. With our example here, we have a parent class called bank account with two other objects that inherit from it. These two objects are called checking account and savings account. Checking account inherits all of the variables and functions of bank account with a few extra ones to itself. The other object that inherits from the bank account object is called savings account. This UML document is a very good layout explaining the various classes and what they do, what they hold, and how they're related. Class responsibility collaboration is usually written on an index card called a CRC index card for short. Much like a UML document, the CRC index card explains what the class is with a description of the class, what its responsibilities are within the program, and what other classes this particular class collaborates and communicates with. The CRC index card, on the other hand, serves a slightly different purpose than the UML document. The CRC index card shown here describes the bank account object. The top left box contains a small description of the class. It then lists the responsibilities of the bank account class. Then it lists the class this class collaborates and communicates with, which are the savings account and checking account classes. Note that it does not describe those classes, as they will have their own CRC index card. The main difference between these two methods of describing objects is that a UML document is used to describe whole programs, while CRC index cards only contain data for that particular object. CRC index cards' primary purpose is to help teach programmers what object-oriented programming is, while a UML document is actually used in the industry to develop real software. Note, however, CRC index cards are useful in helping others understand your classes, so you can construct an effective UML document. You can use the CRC index card to brainstorm your ideas and turn them into objects to be used in code. CRC index cards can be seen as a bridge between brainstorming ideas and putting them down on paper as a UML document.
There are many advantages of object-oriented programming. For programmers who have never encountered object-oriented programming before, class responsibility collaboration is a good way to visualize how objects can work in code. Just imagine how hard it would be to explain the banking design above to non-technical people. With class responsibility collaboration, everything is explained very plainly. For people learning how to program, Class responsibility collaboration is very useful to teach object-oriented programming. In creating a UML document, class responsibility collaboration is extremely helpful in understanding the objects you want to have in your code. Stakeholders can also participate with the designers in creating the application by using CRC index cards, since they are relatively easy to understand. There are some disadvantages to using class responsibility collaboration. However, class responsibility collaboration is meant to be a learning tool or a visualization tool and is probably not the best optimized approach for business. There are many other options that would be better for business than class responsibility collaboration, as this goes into further detail than is likely necessary. Another disadvantage to class responsibility collaboration is that it does not describe inheritance. CRC index cards do not make it clear what the classes are communicating with each other, and if they borrow data or function or responsibilities. Another big disadvantage to CRC index cards are that they are time consuming to create.
Class responsibility collaboration is a technique best used during the brainstorming phase of any software development cycle. It helps programmers and designers understand their code as object-oriented, as opposed to procedurally. One can use this technique in preparation of building a UML document. Class responsibility collaboration is also very useful in teaching others how object-oriented programming works. It is best done with programmers who may have never heard or have used object-oriented programming to help them best understand how code can be a collection of objects communicating with each other. Class responsibility collaboration is also very useful in a technique called extreme programming. Because of its ability to help programmers understand their code as objects as opposed to procedural. We'll not go into detail about extreme programming here. Class responsibility collaboration is not always the best idea, however. If done too late, it can cause frustration. So it is important to follow this method during the brainstorming phase of any application. It may be useful if you need to take a step back and understand your code better. But generally speaking, if you are past the brainstorming phase of your program, you should not rely on this method. As we suggested earlier, we came up with a few class responsibility collaboration index cards for our home teaching application while brainstorming the application. What we were able to come up with was 4 different objects that could be very important in the design of the application. These are suggestions to be used as we see them as being very helpful in making the code of our application straightforward and easy to read. The classes we came up with were Home Teachee, Home Teacher, Bishop, and Quorum Leader. These are all profiles for users that will be using this application. Each user should be given different functionality and permissions with the app. For example, the Home Teachee class profile will be for people the home teacher visits, with the functionality of contacting their leadership and updating their information. The Bishop profile will be given the most permissions, with the ability to edit any profile information and to report the home teaching within the ward to the church.
Class responsibility collaboration is a method used to better understand object-oriented programming. The name itself describes what it does. Class, which is another word for object, is where you describe the class. Responsibility describes the tasks of the class, and collaboration shows the class it communicates with. It has the advantage of visualizing the objects and teaching others how to program with the object-oriented style and in designing UML documents. Its disadvantages are that it is time-consuming to create, fails to describe inheritance, and is not the best approach for business. Thank you for watching our presentation as if you had a choice.